Welcome to round one of the Super Truck Racing New Zealand Championships for 2011 at Levels Raceway in Timaru. These trucks are heavily modified and some can get their 5.5 tonne weight from 0 to 100 mile an hour in under 5 seconds. So let's meet the drivers for the season.
Ash Hay, and it's the Overdose Motorsport International Train Star, and it's about 1,020 horsepower.
Hey, your name's Malcolm Little, and the truck here is a Freightliner Century class, and it's a C12 Caterpillar running 1380 horsepower.
Yeah, Ken Rowe from Hamilton based, and it's a W924 Kenworth. It's been racing for about 22 years now.
Troy Wheeler, Scania T-Truck, and it's around about 1,050 horsepower.
It's a Kenworth W924. It's producing about 1,200 horsepower.
Yeah, Peter Tangney, came Bedford. It's got about 1,300 horsepower, we think.
Qualifying confirmed that the two trucks to watch this season will be Malcolm Little setting the fastest time from Shane Gray.
We're here to defend our title for the third time, and we'll be racing as hard as we have at any other time.
So who do you see as your main competition this season?
There's a number of trucks that have improved, but one that sticks out above the crowd is probably Shane Gray.
Levels Raceway just outside Timaru is 2.4 k's long and has plenty of passing opportunities. The first good one is turn 1 and then the Castrol curve. Of course, there's a heavy braking area into John Jones Steel Corner at the end of the main straight, and then again into the long left-hander at McKissick Curve. Out of McKissick, you can set yourself up to overtake again at the Harvey's Hairpin. If you've got the inside line, then it's through turns 7 and 8 and back to the start-finish line. First race of the season is a rolling start determined by qualifying. Malcolm Little will share the front row with Shane Gray, with Troy Wheeler in the Scania and Peter Tangney in the Bedford next to him, and Ken Rowe and Ash Hay at the back. So they take the green for the first race of the 2011 Championship. Joining commentary by Carlos Goodwin, New Zealand truck racing expert. And while not a big lineup, Carl, it's a quality lineup, and Timaru is the place to go truck racing.
Yeah, no, you did right there. What we've got there is probably 4 or 5 of the fastest trucks in NZ, and it's certainly going to be a close race.
So Malcolm Little getting the early advantage in race number 1 of the weekend in front of a big crowd here at Timaru. They certainly love their truck racing and motor racing in general down in this part of the world. Kenny Rowe and Troy Wheeler rubbing guards on the run down to John Jones Steel. What's that? That's probably the combined weight of about 11 tonne rubbing guards on the run down there.
Yeah, to be fair, there's probably 3 wide coming into there, and by crikey, there's only room for 2 there, so Kenny being the sensible one, he backed out.
On board there with Shane Gray, chasing down Malcolm Little, 2-time and reigning New Zealand truck racing champion. That cat-powered Freightliner also carrying an onboard Troy Wheeler, who's one of the leading contenders for the Class 2 class. And what's the major difference between Class 1 and Class 2 as we roll through this first race?
Yeah, it's mainly the cubic inches of the engine there, and that also depicts on your tear weight of your truck, which most of the guys there are all running at 5.5 tonne tear weight.
So you're looking at lower cubic capacity and lower weight for the Class 2 trucks, and even those trucks are pushing out above 1,000 horsepower, and you get up towards Malcolm Little's truck, which is punching out around, as we heard from Malcolm, about 1,380 horsepower. Big slide there from Peter Tangney. As we go back to the replay of the start, that's Shane Gray. Bit of a territorial dispute down into turn number 1, which is not the easiest sequence of corners to get through in a race car. It's got to be even more harder in a truck.
Yeah, dead right there. Small adjustment to Malcolm's right guard there. Hopefully that doesn't pay havoc with any of his tyres.
Nothing that a porta power and a sledgehammer won't fix after this first race. There's the onboard look from Troy Wheeler of that initial contact down into turn number 1. And Wheeler, for a moment there, had a run down to Castrol, but Gray came out of it, and again, they got together through the middle of the corner.
Well, you've got to say that was pretty close to not going right round there, and that obviously shows us why Malcolm got a gap on him up at the first straight there.
So Malcolm Little leading the first race of the championship, and off the back of qualifying for the first time, they also had a top 5 shootout to set the top 5 grid positions, and for the first time there's also points carrying across from that top 5 shootout to try and keep the points really close right throughout this 3-round championship.
Yeah, that's right. The pole setter gets 2 points and the other 4 trucks get 0, which obviously keeps points very close for the championship throughout.
So Shane Gray trying to stay here with Malcolm Little. Again, remembering that these trucks are governed to 100 mile an hour and they get to 100 mile an hour in just 5 seconds. And this is where the real big stop has to happen. You've got to get all that weight stopped up at the end of the straights at all the motor racing circuits that they compete in around the country.
Yeah, you did right. And as you saw in the previous lap there when there was 3 coming into that corner, Kenny Rowe on the inside, he had to back out for probably for safety really, because he's not setting himself up to get round there at a safe speed.
So on board with Troy Wheeler. So with the smaller Class 2 trucks, do they have an advantage under brake with less weight to carry through under brakes?
They would have a small advantage, probably, you know, half a tonne. But yeah, they still corner a lot better than the heavier trucks. But yeah, you can't beat that horsepower when you get it in a straight line.
So there is Peter Tangi going through in that unique twin turbocharged Bedford. That's the former John Hepburn truck, and he's peeling off into pit lane. I think a drive-through penalty for Peter Tangi.
And that's possibly, there you go there. He's that's got your 3 trucks wide there, and I think young Peter might have got out on the grass there, and I see the boys in the office aren't happy with that.
There's the replay. He's right out on the grass, all 4 wheels barreling down the back straight at Timaru. So a drive-through penalty for Peter Tangi. That's going to ruin his first race. Here is the Porter brothers Kenworth of Kenny Rowe, the Eagle Equipment Kenworth. This truck's done a lot of racing over many, many years around New Zealand.
Yeah, some of the old fellas working on that track, if you add all their years together, I think that truck's still older than them.
So the last lap board is out for Malcolm Little. He's pretty much had things under control. So Kenny Rowe is 4th on track, chasing down Troy Wheeler. Malcolm Little still your race leader from Shane Gray. 1 NZ leads 2 NZ. So they work their way 100 mile an hour to the big stop down into John Jones Corner.
As you can see there, nice clear track for Malcolm, and when that thing gets in the front, she's very hard to pull back. It goes wherever he points it, so he's well on his way to his first victory there.
Yeah, it is a wonderful handling truck, and another truck that's featured in New Zealand truck racing over the last few seasons. You can see the damage to the right rear guard of that machine after that contact with Shane Gray down into turn 1 off the race start. But it's going to be Malcolm Little out of the hairpin for the final time through turns 7 and 8. Will take victory on board with 2nd place Shane Gray. Malcolm Little will be untroubled here, relatively untroubled with the victory in race number 1, and he'll take the maximum points haul from Shane Gray.
That last sweeper coming onto the start-finish line, the boys are pretty much doing 100 mile an hour around there, and if you get that wrong, it's not going to look good.
So Malcolm Little from Shane Gray with Troy Wheeler in 3rd for race number 1.
We didn't make testing on Friday, and we're probably suffering a bit for that. We seem to lost a bit of a pace from last year, but we got that one behind us in the qualifying one, so we're happy with that.
Yeah, we've rebuilt a new engine over the off-season and changed a few things, which has obviously paid off, give us a bit more edge on them.